Hi, welcome back. In this module, we're going to look at some of the fundamental features of the SAS language, and learning how to use these fundamental features will allow us to write our simpler CSS. So in this module, we're going to start off looking at SAS variables. SAS variables are a way that we can define a value once and give it a named variable, and then instead of using hard-coded values throughout our CSS, we can instead use this defined variable. So this means that rather than having to search and replace through a file for hard-coded values, we can instead just make the change once in the SAS variable, and when we compile to CSS, this variable will be changed in all of the places that it's referenced in our SAS file. Next, we'll learn about mixins, and mixins are a way that we can define a set of CSS properties once, and then we can include these defined properties in other selectors. So we'll see how we can mix in a set of CSS properties into a selector, and also how we can create a parameterized mixin, so we can actually pass values to the mixin when we call it. We'll then look at nested rules. Nested rules allow us to write our SAS CSS selectors to mimic the HTML structure that they're describing. So we'll see how by doing this we can actually improve the readability of our SAS files to make it more clear exactly which HTML elements are being targeted. Next, we'll look at a feature of SAS where we can actually divide our files into separate SAS.scss files. We can then import these SAS files into another SAS file, but when the resulting CSS file is compiled, we only get a single CSS file output. So the browser doesn't have to go and download multiple CSS files, but we get the advantage of having design time separation to allow us to organize and be able to find things better. We'll then look at how we can implement inheritance in our CSS styles. We'll see how we can define a CSS style, and then we can inherit its properties from other selectors. One of the benefits of this approach is we can actually reduce the number of CSS classes that we have to apply to our HTML elements, so we can simplify HTML and reduce its size. We'll then learn about the two different types of comments that we can write in our SAS files. So these are comments that are just internal to the SAS file to help us understand what's going on, or comments that we actually want output to the resulting CSS. Finally, we'll take a look at what happens when we've got errors in our SAS file, and also how we can output both custom debug messages and custom warning messages during the SAS compilation process.